So today we are going to discuss about the next two models which are left for in the oligopoly structure. Okay. So whatever we discussed in the oligopoly is all about the features of the oligopoly structure as a whole, and then the three models. The first one is the Kuno model. The second one is the quantity leadership model or the Stackelberg model, and the third one is the Sweezy model, right? The sticky price model. So we have discussed about all these three. Now today only two models left. So these we will discuss today. The first one is the price leadership model, as you can see, and the next one is the Bartran model. So both the models uh, here the determining factor is the price. Okay. In case of the Kuno or in case of the Stackelberg model, the determinant variable was the quantity. It was a quantity leadership model. Okay. And here it is the price. So here price is important. So one firm is dependent on another firm strategically in terms of price. Fine. So this is all about the price leadership model, but it is very similar to the Stackelberg model. The Stackelberg model is the quantity leadership model, and here it is the price leadership model. Okay. So what are the features of this model? Look at this. Then I will explain one by one. Huh? So the first feature is price is the decision variable. That is clear because it's the price leadership model. You can understand. So one firm is dependent on other firm uh, with respect to the price. What what price? How that particular firm is changing the price. So that is the determinant factor of another firm, and he will choose the price accordingly. Okay. So this is the thing. The second point is very important. The product is homogeneous. Okay. This is something not related with the oligopoly, right? Because oligopoly is very much realistic, as we are saying. So homogeneous product is not so realistic. But anyway, we are just assuming for simplicity, we are assuming it is homogeneous. Now, one firm is a leader, and the other firms or another firm is a follower. Okay, the leader is the monopolist, definitely, and the followers are the price taker. Look, they are the price taker. Leader is the monopolist, as he is the dominant firm in the market as a whole. So, what he will do? He will decide the price. Okay, and he is working just as a monopolist because he is thinking that okay, I am the only one in the market. Okay, so his decision is accordingly, he is just like the monopolist. So he has decided the price, the equilibrium price, and that price is given to his follower. So it is just the given price for the follower. The follower will take the decision based on the given price by the leader. Okay, the equilibrium price which has been decided by the leader, this is given to the follower. The follower can do anything, but the price is given. So they are just like the perfect competitive firm, as it is a homogeneous product as well. Now the next one is the supply curve of the follower is the horizontal summation of all individual follower supply curve naturally. So if it is a perfectly competitive firm, the followers are considered as a perfectly competitive firms. So then just making this horizontal summation of their marginal cost above the shutdown point is the supply curve similar. Okay, that property is there. And the next one is given the price, followers sell their products. So naturally they are the price taker, so the price is given to them. And the last one for rest of the market, leader is the monopolist. So what happened here? Let me explain. These are the main points. That is why it is written here and how it works. The thing is, the actual thing is, look, the the leader is the monopolist, so he is watching the total market, so he is deciding his quantity and price accordingly. Now given the price, followers are selling their products, so there is a single follower. Let it be very simple. There is a single follower and there is a leader. Okay, so it's a duopoly. Now, in this duopoly structure, one firm, the leader has decided the equilibrium price, and given this price, the followers have chosen what quantity he can sell. Now, after deducting this quantity from that is the deduction means the supply curve of the follower. If you deduct the supply of the follower from the market demand, whatever left, it is the part for the leader. Okay, let me explain it here. The supply curve of the supply curve of the follower is like this. Okay, now the entire market demand curve is QT. So DP minus SP, this is the relevant part of the market demand for the dominant firm, that is the leader. Okay, so leader is catering this part of the market. So this is the supply of the follower. If you deduct the supply of the follower from the total market demand, you will get the demand curve for the dominant firm. Okay, so to get the demand curve of the dominant firm, to get the demand curve of the leader, you have to deduct the supply of the follower from the market demand. Up to this point, if you have any problem, ask. Otherwise, I will explain the model. Okay, these are just the background. Any problem up to this slide?
Ma'am, can you explain the third bullet?
Third bullet, this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The relevant part of the market demand for the dominant firm is the leader. Huh? The dominant firm is DP minus SP. Because you know, you have to find out the equilibrium of the dominant firm. Nah? Then only you can understand what will be the price that is given to the follower. Okay, and accordingly you can understand what is the actual demand, the whole demand of the market given the price. So what part is for the dominant firm and what is left for the follower. Okay. So how to get the market demand for the leader? So first of all, you know the supply curve of the follower. Supply curve of the follower is how you can get it, just the horizontal summation of the MC curves, right? So say that this is the supply curve of the follower. As it is the single follower, so MC curve is SP. Yeah? This is the supply curve. Now the whole market demand curve is DP. Okay, so SP is the supply curve of the follower. DP is the total market demand curve. So if you deduct SP from DP, then you can understand the demand which is available for the dominant firm. Okay, so he will cater this part of the demand. Actually, this is a type of back calculation, right? But the reality is like first the dominant firm is working. He has decided the price. Given the price, the leader, the follower is selling his quantity. This is the way the market is working. And here we are going to explain the situation. So that is why we have started from the end. So we are saying that, okay, everything is there. Everything is there. That monopolist is there, leader is there, the follower is the perfectly competitive thing. Everything is there. So everything is done. Okay. Now how to explain? To explain it, we are starting from the end. That say there is a follower. The follower is supplying a particular quantity. So there is a particular supply curve of the follower. So that supply curve is represented by SP. The whole market demand is also there. So it is DP. Okay. So if you deduct that supply of the follower from the supply of the from the demand, then you can find out the demand of the leader. Look, you can write it like this. Okay. Jodi eta ekটু confusion হয় দেখো, you can write, sorry, demand of the leader and demand for the leader plus demand for the follower is equal to the total market demand, right? That is capital D within bracket P. That is this part, right? So this is the whole market demand. So you can write it in this way. Fine. Now, is that okay? Now look, this the demand of the follower. This is scattered by the follower already. So demand is equal to supply for the follower. So you can replace this part. You can replace this part by SP. Okay. So demand for the dominant firm plus the supply of the follower is equal to the demand for the whole market. So then you can write the demand of the dominant firm, that is D L, is
Ma'am,
equal.
in equilibrium, demand of follower is equal to supply of follower.
Huh?
So that's why we are replacing SP.
Yes, yes, yes. That is why we are replacing DF by SP,
Okay, ma'am.
because it is the equilibrium ultimately, na?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how you are getting D. D is very poor, huh? D within bracket P minus S within bracket P. Okay. So this is how we are getting the market demand. Actually, we are trying to explain it. Otherwise, the thing is just opposite. First function is by the dominant firm. Given the function of the dominant firm, the follower is working. It's just like the Bertrand model. You know, in case of the Bertrand model also, we have find out the equilibrium of the follower. And from that follower's equilibrium, we found out the conjectural variation of the leader. And when we are putting the value of the conjectural variation in the leader's profit function, then only you can find out the leader's equilibrium price and quantity, right? So just opposite we have done already in our Stackelberg model. Okay, in our quantity leadership model. In our Stackelberg model, we also done this. First the follower's profit, then the leader's profit. Why? Because the leader's conjectural variation is non-zero. And to find the conjectural variation of the leader, we have to know what is the equilibrium of the follower. We already done this in case of the Stackelberg model, that is the quantity leadership model. And the same thing we are doing in this price leadership model as well. Okay. If you can remember, look, farm 2 was considered as a follower. Na? In case of the Stackelberg model, farm 2 is considered as a follower. So look, we have found out the profit of farm 2 at first. From there, we found out the reaction function. And that reaction function is replaced here for the farm 1, that is the leader. Then only we can find out the equilibrium of the leader. So just opposite we have done here also. So this is true for this part. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I'm coming to the diagram. Look, there are two diagrams. Forget about this one. Just look at this black one. The DP, as you know, that DP is the whole market demand. Okay. Try to understand the diagram clearly. Huh? DP is the whole market demand. Okay. SP is the supply curve of the follower. We have written here, look, this is the supply curve of the follower, and DP is the market demand for the total market. So this is what? Okay. So DP is the market demand and SP is the supply curve by the follower. And we know how to get the equilibrium of, how to get the demand of the dominant firm, DP minus SP, right? DP minus SP. Look, DP minus SP. So here also we have to do this to draw the demand curve for the dominant firm. Okay. So look, up to this point, demand is here, SP is here. Okay. So this part is not relevant for us. But then after, when DP is more than SP, when DP for any price, look, for any price, DP is more than SP. That means there is some excess demand. Before this point, before this intersection point, DP is less than SP. Okay, but after this point, DP is greater than SP. That means there is an excess demand. The followers is is not capable to cater the whole market. Okay, so the excess part of the demand, it is left for the dominant firm. Okay, so that is why the demand curve for the dominant firm is starting from here. So D1, actually it should be written as DD, small d. So anyway, D1 is the demand curve of the dominant firm. Okay, D1 is the relevant demand curve for the dominant firm. And if you have this demand curve, there should be one marginal revenue curve for the dominant firm. Is it okay? Any query? I have not explained the diagram completely. I just
Then it
stop
is fine,
here.
ma'am. Then it is fine, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Till now it is fine.
No, yes, yes. It is not complete yet. So this is that. So I'm just explaining how to derive the demand curve of the dominant firm. So once you have the demand curve of the dominant firm and the corresponding marginal revenue curve, then you know what is the marginal cost of the dominant firm. It's normal upward rising. So you have the MRD, that is the marginal revenue of the dominant firm, marginal cost of the dominant firm, and it is the monopolist. So the equilibrium point is here. And once you have the equilibrium point for the monopolist, you can find out the price, that is P star, and the equilibrium quantity for the dominant firm. Okay, so that is QD star. So dominant firm is okay, it's done. Okay, so dominant firm is coming in the market. He is working as a monopolist. He has decided the price as P star, and that P star, he is a leader, the price leader. So P star is actually P star is given by the dominant firm. Okay, and that should be given to the follower. He's just the price follower, right? So he has to sell his quantity given this price. So look, if I extend this P star up to the supply curve of the follower, then the follower can sell QS. So what is happening? The leader is, look, for P star, the follower can sell QS and leader can sell QD star. And QD star plus QS star, that means OQD star plus OQS is equal to the total demand for P star. Okay. একটু confusion হয়ে যেতে পারে, but look at this equation, then it may be clear. The total demand is nothing but the demand for the dominant firm plus the supply of the follower. So this is the demand. So this is the demand for the dominant firm given P star, and this is the supply of the follower. So if you add these two, this length plus this length, then it will be the total market. So market demand is satisfied at the price P star by the leader and the follower. Now ask your question from the black diagram. Don't go to the purple one. It may not be so easy to understand. Take your time and then ask if you have any question.
It's clear, ma'am.
Okay. So you may not be confused that, okay, ma'am, from the diagram I can see that this is Q star, this is QD star. So how the demand is covered up? Yes, it is covered up because you have to just add. Okay.
Ma'am, but what is the equilibrium market supply? Market equilibrium quantity.
No, look, there is okay. Market equilibrium quantity is OQD star plus OQS. because this much is supplied by the dominant farm and this much is supplied by the follower. So if you add these two, you will get the market.
Ma'am, so there is like double counting.
Because actually one diagram is imposed on another. That supply curve is not relevant for the dominant farm. Okay, when the dominant farm is deciding his quantity just like a monopolist, that SP is not so important for him because he has this demand from SP. So that is done. So I have introduced that SP here. I have just by force I have drawn SP here to find out what should be the quantity by the follower given P star. It's not actually overcounting. It's not actually overlapping. One diagram is imposed on another. That is why.
Okay, ma'am.
Now look at the second one. Second one is just the just a minute. Where is my pointer? Yes. Now look at the second diagram. In the second diagram, the situation is a bit simple. Okay, more simple. Just to make the thing simple, what happened? The marginal cost of the dominant farm is assumed as a constant. Okay, so if it is a constant one, then it is parallel to the horizontal axis. Other things are same. Okay, all other things are same. So actually what happens, sometimes people are very much confused that this is a line, this is a line, whether they are parallel to each other, how to get MC from SP. So that may arise. That is why, just to make it simple, that what will be the exact, the problem is not from the MC curve. Okay, the problem is from the demand curve and the dominant farm. So that is why, just to give stress on this side, MC is assumed as a constant. And sometimes the questions may come that in the price leadership model, if the dominant farm is getting constant marginal cost, then how its equilibrium will change? Actually, nothing has changed. If MC is parallel to the horizontal axis, the equilibrium is here. Okay? And then everything is very much simple. Okay? So this is the case of the, this is all about the price leadership model. Fine. Now I am coming to the next diagram, that is the next model, I should say. It's the Bartrand model. Now, Bartrand model, in case of the price leadership model, one farm is considered as a leader and another farm is considered as a follower, right? But in case of the Bartrand model, it is a price competition. And this is very much realistic. The product is homogeneous just for simplicity, but there is a price competition. So in the Kuno model, it was actually the quantity competition sort of thing. Everyone is independent. They are choosing their quantity according to their own idea. But in case of the Bartrand model, it's a price competition. And the products are sold by the farms. It is a homogeneous product. So if it is a price competition, then it's very similar to the perfectly competitive market. Finally, if a farm is increase the price, or if a farm has a price say 1% higher than other farms in the market, as the product is homogeneous, no one will purchase from that farm. Okay, because he can get the very similar, the sellers can get the very similar product from all other farms who are selling the product at relatively lower price. So they are not irrational. They should not purchase it the same price, same commodity at the higher price. Okay. So that is why ultimately, as it is a competition, ultimately what happened? The homogeneous product is sold by all the farms at a constant price. One farm is reduced the price, the other farms are reducing. So it's a competition. Finally, at the end of the day, all farms are selling the quantity, all farms are selling the product at the same price. Okay, and that price you can understand, it's as it is a competition, finally there will be no supernormal profit. The profit, supernormal profit will be zero. Okay, and the equilibrium is price is equal to marginal cost. That's similar, the very same actually equilibrium condition. Now, okay, so this is the Bartran model. Apparently, it's very simple, right? Apparently, it's very simple. But if you can ask me, okay, ma'am, everyone is okay. Before that, for all this model, my reference is Pindak and Rubenfeld. Your textbook. Now look, it may possible that you can ask me that, ma'am, it is a price competitive situation. So why it is why not perfectly competitive market? Why it is considered as an oligopoly? Because there is no free entry exit. Okay, the basic structure of the oligopoly is here, that you can compete, you can sell homogeneous product, you can do anything, but the entry and exit is not so easy. So that is why it is the oligopoly structure. Hmm. Now the thing is, if it is the situation, say everyone is competing for the with respect to the price, and finally there will be no supernormal profit. The question is there any chance that we can make some supernormal profit, as there is no free entry exit? Once you are in the industry, it is not so easy for you to leave the market. You have to stay here. So now the question is, then why should I compete? Right? Why should I compete? Because at the end of the day, because of this competition, my supernormal profit will be zero, and my competitor's supernormal profit will also be zero. Then why should I compete? What is the alternative? So this is the beauty of the oligopoly. The alternative is there. And what is the name of that alternative? Collusion. You can collude. As we are selling homogeneous product, this is not the Bartran model. Remember, this is not the Bartran model. I'm just giving you the idea that how you can escape from this no supernormal profit situation. Is there any avenue that help the farm to get some supernormal profit? The answer is yes. The name of that avenue is called the collusion. They can collude. As they are selling, it is the homogeneous product, but in the oligopoly market, they are selling similar type of product, right? So, as they are selling similar type of product, they can collude. Okay, they can make, it is called cartel. Okay? So, you can make a collusion, you can make a collaboration among yourselves. So there are five oligopoly farms who are selling similar type of product. So they can collaborate, they can make a group, and they can take decision as a group. They are not going to compete among themselves. Okay, they will take decision as a group. In that case, as they are a group now, and there is no one left other than this group in that industry as a whole, in the market as a whole, the group can work as a monopolist. Is it okay? So I think you can get it. That, say there are five farms initially. They are competing with respect to price. They are competing with respect to quantity. One may be the leader, others are follower. So these things are happening. But at the end of the day, they are watching that through this competition, we are losing our own profit. Everyone is losing his profit, other than the leader. So in that case, if you collude, if you make some group, if you make some association, and we will work as a group as a whole, then we can control the market. We will have some control over the market. We can work as a monopolist in the market. And then you can charge the price higher than your marginal cost, and it is easy for all the farms within the group to have some supernormal profits. Okay, so here comes the concept of collusion. Here comes the concept of cartel. In economics, it is called cartel. In reality, there are so many cartel, there are so many associations. For example, Asian countries and I I can't remember other name. The Asian countries ASIAN. India was trying to enter there but cannot. Japan is a leader of that group. Other than that, the European countries are the European Union. This is another type of cartel. So they are making cartel. The objective may be different. Okay, the um, objective may be the development of all those nations within the cartel. The
Yeah, like the
objective may
OPEC.
be, yeah, OPEC is there. Okay, intentionally I was not mentioning the name.
And then
OPEC is all.
G7,
Ah,
G20.
yes, yes, yes. These that G groups are always there. G9, G10. Everyone is trying to enter there and fail. Anyway, so yes, these are the example of cartel. So actually, those what you are saying about the G9, G10, or the European Union, they are making the association for the benefit of the trade. Hmm. Within those countries who are the member of this association, who are member of this cartel, within those countries, there are so many flexibility among the export and import. The tax relaxation is there. There may not be any quota. So many advantages are there. But when they are going to sell their product outside their group, there are so many restrictions. It may be for export, it may be for import. So this is how they are trying to maximize their profit. This is the objective here. But sometimes the association may be there where the objective is the development. But anyway, we are not concerned about the development part for the time being. We are concerned about the trade part. What will be the here the objective is to get some profit, na? So it is the trade ultimately. Okay. Now, as he said, there is a one type of cartel is there that is called OPEC. Other than this OPEC, all other associations, there are so many struggles inside the association. Obviously, OPEC is also having this type of problem. But what happened if you go through the history of the world, you can see that after certain time, those cartel breaks. Any cartel, if you consider one of those cartel, it will break after some time. It will not survive for the long run. Why? Because this is a part of your game theory. I think you have done this game theory portion in your econometrics or in your statistics class for SNMAM. Have you done that?
I mean, the first year we had that, first semester and
Yes.
second semester.
So the dominant strategy, Nash equilibrium, you have done all this, now.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, how many of you have seen the movie The Beautiful Mind, based on the biography of John Nash? No one? It's a beautiful one. Huh? Just watch. I think most of my students in this class, they have Netflix in their smartphone. So just search this. It is based on the life of the John Nash, the Nash equilibrium. The Nash is a Nobel laureate. All of you know that. So he has some. He didn't have that normal brain. He has done such a beautiful job. But how his life was going up, that is the story. I can suggest you to watch them. Okay, because life is not so simple. We are watching that, okay, John Nash is there. When we are introducing Nash equilibrium, we are saying that it is called Nash equilibrium. This is the definition of the Nash equilibrium. It was invented by John Nash, that much. But how the life of the person was there, you can understand once you watch the movie. Anyway, so so you know what is dominant strategy, what is Nash equilibrium. Just tell me what is dominant strategy. This is the recapitulation of your same one. Tell me, what do you mean by dominant strategy? সবাই কি নেট খুলতে বসলে? না অনেকেই কিছু খুলছই না, জাস্ট
That is in our subconscious mind, but we cannot recall right now.
okay. Then what is Nash equilibrium? This is also in your subconscious mind.
Yes, ma'am.
So okay, so I'm just defining. I'm not going to explain it in details as it has been done already. But for the cartel, we need a bit about that. So that is why I'm just giving the idea. I'm giving you the definition. The dominant strategy means I am choosing a strategy and I will stick with that strategy, whatever you have done. Okay. And Nash equilibrium means I have chosen this strategy given your strategy. Okay. So dominant, the name is telling you everything. That whatever you can do, you may be in the class, you may not, you may leave the class, whatever you have done, I have to explain the cartel. So this is my dominant strategy. But if I'm saying that in my class, if there is 30 students, then only I will explain cartel. And if the number of students is less than 30, then I will not. So this strategy is the Nash equilibrium. Okay. So this is actually not the way, but anyway, just to explain the situation, I am telling you. So I have chosen the strategy. Whatever you have done, I will stick with that strategy. This is the dominant strategy. But I have chosen this strategy because you have chosen. So my decision is dependent on your decision. This is the Nash equilibrium. And everything is explained with the P-off matrix. I think you can remember the P-off at least. তাই না? P-off matrixটা কিরকম দেখতে ছিল মনে আছে না?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that four boxes are there. P-off are there. There are two players, player one, player two. It's okay. Somehow some part of the study, I hope you remember. So look, that cartel is also there. So what I am telling you, that why cartel is not exist in the long run, because of this game, because of this game theory. Game theory can explain beautifully about this non-existence of cartel in the long run. Because if any of those firms are trying to cheat, then the cartel will break down, and in the long run it will be. And even there is no cheater in your association, still there will be, because say the cartel is for the 5 years. I'm just giving you some ideas. Huh? The details are there in the PINDAC, and you will just go through all those. I will show you two payoffs for my portion, only which are relevant for my portion. But just I'm giving you one example. Say there is a cartel. The cartel is for 5 years. Okay, there is an association among the 5 firms in the industry, and they have chosen that okay, for the next 5 years we will work together. We will decide together. So everyone, and if anyone cheat, that is also a contract. That if any one of us will cheat, then in the next year we will punish him. Okay. So what
Ma'am,
happened? Bolo?
ma'am, can we apply this concept that with a hypothesis?
Yes. What is the hypothesis?
That's the thing. With the hypothesis that United Nations can collapse or dissolve if the permanent members resign or something of that sort.
Yes. You know, OPEC is only the real life, long run existing cartel. But within OPEC, there are so many competitions. There are so many tussles. Sometimes it is coming out in the newspaper. Na, Iraq is saying that Iran is not following the rules. So these things are happening. But ultimately, they know that oil, the petroleum, is the only source of their income. So that is why at the end of the day, they have to work together. Otherwise, they cannot control the market. And when that market will collapse, they will also going for the starvation because there is no other way for earning. Hmm. So that is the objective. But other than OPEC, no other cartel is existing in the long run. And as you are saying, the United Nations, yes, if one of the countries of the members or one of the member countries will cheat, it may break down, and it will in the long run, because it is not possible now. Each and every economy is so diversified from others, it is not possible to take decision with all respect unanimously. You have to be deviate from others in some point of view, and at that point the cartel will break down. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, these things I have explained already, the Nash equilibrium and the dominant strategy. So what is dominant strategy? The strategy independent of the decision of the opponent. Whatever you will do, I will stick with my strategy. And Nash equilibrium means I have chosen this strategy because you have chosen the strategy. You have chosen A, that is why I have chosen B. But if you move from A to C, then I may go from B to D. Okay? So this is the Nash equilibrium. And these are the two things. This is taken from Pindak and Rubinfield. You can find it. For the pricing game, as I say, that with respect to price, that was the thing. Now there is no supernormal profit because everyone is competing with respect to price. So now they are thinking that okay, we have done a lot of competition, we are tired, and our supernormal profit is zero. That is the end result. So it's better to go for a collusion. So they made a collusion, and this is the collusion. Okay, there are two farms. That is a duopoly, farm 1 and farm 2. Farm, just a minute. Farm 1, there are two things. It's a simple thing. Charge 4 rupees or charge 6 rupees, the price of the commodity. And here also it's a homogeneous product, so 4 rupees or 6 rupees. Okay, so definitely if they will charge higher, then their profit will be more, their revenue will be more. It's not profit, it's better to say revenue, price into quantity, so that will be more. So if farm 1 will charge 6 rupees, then his income will be 16. If farm 2 will charge 6 rupees, his income will be 16. The 16 is the payoff if they will charge higher price. Okay. Now, if one of them will reduce the price from 6 to 4, say farm 2 has reduced the price given the price of farm 1. Then what happened? Then, as the price is reduced, all consumers are interested to purchase from farm 2. Then farm 2's revenue is increased to 20, from 16 to 20. Okay? But as most of the market is going for farm 2, the farm 1's profit has reduced and it is now rupees 4. So it's a loss for farm 1. And when farm 1 is watching this, similar thing may happen if farm 1 will reduce the price. It's just the opposite thing is there, 20 and 4. Okay, and if say farm 2 has reduced the price given farm 1, and there is initially a collusion that okay, we will charge higher price, so we are earning 16 rupees each. After some time, farm 2 is watching that okay, if I can reduce price of my commodity, then my profit will rise, so it's better to reduce the price. So here you reduce the price. So the thing is happened, this payoff is now there. And after watching this, farm 1 is very angry. Farm 1 is saying, okay, you have done this. Okay, what do you think? I cannot. Okay. So from tomorrow, I have also reduced the price. I will also reduce the price. And in the next step, he has reduced price of his commodity. So both are going to charge 4 and 4. Okay. So as price is reduced to P into Q, that has reduced for both the firms. Now both are charging 4. So their revenue is reduced to 12. So look, if there will be a collusion, both can earn more. But as they are going to cheat, finally they are coming here. Okay?
It's like prisoner dilemma.
Yes. My next slide is prisoner's dilemma. Just a minute. So up to this point, is it okay, na? So price competition is like this: 12-12. The Bartrand model is something giving you the pay of 12-12. But if you can succeed to make a collusion, then you may earn 16. But within the collusion, if one of the firms will cheat, then you are coming back again to that 12-12. Okay, so this is the thing. Just a minute. Come on. আমার ল্যাপটপটা কি হলো? নড়েও না, চড়েও না। কি রে বাবা? Yes, it is, at least it is working. Somehow it is done. The next one is the prisoner's dilemma. So all of you know about the prisoner's dilemma. I'm not going to bore you because this is the 5, 5, 10, 2, so everything is known to you. So Bartrand model, you can explain the Bartrand model and the corresponding collusion with respect to the prisoner's dilemma also. No? So this is the price leadership model. And just a minute, huh? Give me some, just 2 minutes. Yes. So this is my model explanation under the oligopoly structure. So in sum total, we have discussed about the Cournot, Steckelberg, Slasky, rather, so sorry, not the Slasky, Sweezy, sorry, Sweezy, then price leadership model, and finally Bartrand model, and the corresponding collusion, the cartel. So up to this point, if you have any query, you can ask. If you don't have any query, then just give me 2 minutes. I have some questions for you. Let me open it. Huh? Wait for 1 minute. Okay, so I have it. 1 minute. Look, this is the question. This is university question. You can understand. A discriminating monopolist, I can't remember what is the year. A discriminating monopolist sells in two markets with elasticity equal to 4 and 2. Can you obtain the ratio of the price changed in these two markets? বলো তো কি হবে? Can you remember our monopoly? Or if you not, then come back here. Okay, just forget about the monopoly. Just check those questions. If you want, just take the snapshot, the screenshot, and try to solve the monopoly portion in your home if you cannot remember right now. I am coming to the duopoly structure. The demand function for the duopoly is this, where Q is the total output sold by the two firms. The firms have their cost function Ci8Qi, I1 to 2. If the firms collude to act as a monopolist, what will be the industry output and profit? There are two firms. Their cost is C1 8Q1 and C2 is equal to 8Q2. The market demand is also there. The question is, what will be the collusion output and profit? If they collude, then what will be that colluted output and profit? Not the collusion, it should be colluted anyway. So, can you find out? Make a try. Collusion means they are working as a single firm. Okay. So the output of the group as a whole is they are working just like a monopolist. So what is the equilibrium of the monopolist? MC is equal to MR, right? So MC is equal to 8 here. MC is 8 and MR is here you have to write P is equal to 20 minus Q, that you have to write, and then you have to put it in your total revenue and find the MR. So that MR is equal to 8. From there you can find out the Q. Okay? And if you put the Q in this equation, you can find out the P. Are you doing this? Anyone in this class? Are you doing this?
Ma'am, one thing.
Yes.
The total cost for after collusion, the total cost will be 8Q1 plus 8Q2.
Yes.
So
Yes.
margin.
8Q. I can write it 8Q. Capital Q.
Oh, okay. Because Q1 plus Q2 is equal to capital Q.
It is written here, na? Q is the total output sold by the two firms.
Okay, ma'am. So from there we can find MC and okay then.
So that MC is 8.
Yes, ma'am. Because derivative. Yes, ma'am.
And from the demand equation, you have to find out MR. And for that, you have to write it like P is equal to 20 minus Q. So P into Q is 20 minus Q into Q. That is 20Q minus Q squared. That is your total revenue. From there, find the marginal revenue. So marginal revenue will be 20 minus 2Q, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
So 20 minus 2Q is equal to 8. Find the Q.
Q is equal to 12.
Yes. So put that Q in the demand equation, you will get P. So that is the colluted output and price. Okay. I think it will be done. It can be done. It's very easy. Now look at the second one. What will be the price and output in a Coulomb equilibrium? Okay. Before that, output and profit. So profit is P into Q minus C. So you have your P, you have your Q. Just put those values. You will have P into Q, that is the total revenue, minus C, that is 8Q, capital Q. So that will be your total cost. total revenue minus total cost. From there you can find out the profit for equation number for the question number 1. Now come to the question number 2. So the Cournot equilibrium. What is the Cournot? Cournot is very simple. Na? Cournot is the autonomous. So in that case, it's pi 1. Pi 1 will be, again, that you have to find out the P. P is equal to 20 minus Q, and with Q means Q1 plus Q2. Now they are not a group. They are individual people. Okay. So in that case, the pi 1 will be total revenue of farm 1, TR1, that is P. This P into Q1 minus C1. C1 will be 8Q1. So profit equation for the first farm is this P, that is 20 minus capital Q. That will be within bracket. Then Q1 minus 8Q1. This is the profit function of farm 1. Similarly, pi 2 will be 20 minus Q within bracket, then Q2 minus 8Q2. Solve these two equations because there are two unknowns, Q1 and Q2. You have two equations. So you can find out from the first order condition, you can find out Q1 and Q2. Okay. And once you have Q1 and Q2, Q1 plus Q2 will be capital Q. So from here you can find the price. Once you have price and quantity, then you can find out the profit level. Okay. I don't know how to write here. লেখা যায় এখানে?
Ma'am, the draw option. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So pi 1 is equal to P. P means here, na? P is 20 minus Q. So P R1 এই বাবা লেখা যাচ্ছে না, এইখানে লেখা যাবে। So difficult না? ছোট ছোট বাচ্চারা বলে লিখবো না, now I can understand how difficult it is. Writing is not so easy. Minus 8 Q1. Okay. And TR1, you can replace it by 20 minus Q1, that is capital Q actually, yeah, minus Q2. Now within, that is within bracket, that is your P into Q1. Okay, minus 8 Q1. So this is your pi 1. Fine. Similarly, you can find out pi 2. This is your pi 1. Okay. Similarly, you can find out your pi 2. Now there are two equations. The first order conditions will be there, del pi 1, del Q1, and there are two unknowns, Q1 and Q2. So it's easy to find out Q1 and Q2. So once you have Q1 star and Q2 star, you have to put those in this equation. Okay, in this equation, Q is equal to 20 minus P. So Q is equal to Q1 star plus Q2 star. So put those values, you can find out P. So you have Q, you have P, rather you have Q1 and you have P. Okay, so all the values of the variables you have it. Next, the thing is put the values and to find out the profit. So put the values here, you will get the profit of farm 1 and similarly profit of farm 2. Okay, so I think question 2 is okay. How to remove all those writings? Erase করতে হবে, নিজে নিজে চলে যাবে না?
Or ma'am, you can press Control Z to undo all.
Control Z? আচ্ছা দাঁড়াও, পরে করবো, স্টেকেল বারটা করে নিই। Now question number 3. If farm 1 acts as a Stackelberg leader and farm 2 as a Stackelberg follower, what will be the leader's output and profit in equilibrium? So actually what happened, initially you have to find out the equilibrium of farm 2. The equilibrium of farm 2, as farm 2 is the follower. So first order condition, that is pi 2. Okay. So pi 2 is equal to P, again that P into Q2 minus 8Q2. So you have done it. And then after you find out one first order condition, and that first order condition will give you a relation between Q1 and Q2. So the Q2 may be like this, Q2. If from this first order condition of the second form, you may get Q2. It is a function. I don't know what will be the exact form. So that is why I'm writing it in the functional form. Q2 in terms of Q1. You will get this thing. Okay. So put this particular form in the profit equation of farm 1, who is the leader. So then you have to write what is your task next? You have to write pi 1, then the same equation like this. Okay. And solve it. And when you are going to solve pi 1, that is the leader's profit, there you will get one value dq2 dq1. Okay, that is the conjectural variation of the leader dq2 dq1. And remember, dq2 dq1 is not 0 for the leader. So this equation is helping you to find out dq2 dq1. Okay, so from here put the value in this equation of the leader, and then you can find the value of the first order condition of the leader. Solve these two equations, you will get the output, and the obviously once you get the output, everything is done. Put the value in the demand equation, you will get the price, and once Q1P is there, the profit is very easy to calculate, right? Any problem from this? Actually, these type of questions are very common, huh? One common equation is there, one cost equation is also there, and they are asking to find out Cournot, Stackelberg, price leader. So these things are like this. So this is a very common type of question from the oligopoly structure. So now ask me if you have any problem from question number F. You can ask me now.
Ma'am, can you repeat that Q2 equals to F of Q1 part?
Okay. না লিখতে পারলে ভালো হতো, দাঁড়াও তো। Look, here farm 2 is the follower, তাই তো? So this is pi 2, farm 2, huh? So from here you can write within bracket 20 minus Q1 minus Q2. Okay, bracket close. I'm writing the profit function, huh? Pi 2 minus 8 Q2. Okay, now the first order condition is del pi 2 del Q2, because this is the profit of the second farm. So you will get one equation. কি হবে বলো তো, ইকুয়েশনটা আমাকে এক্সাক্ট ফর্মটা একটু বলো তো। 20 minus Q1 minus 2 Q2. You can check. You can check the value, huh? Whether this is okay for you or not. Minus 8. Okay. and it will be 0. Up to this point, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. From here, you can find Q2. Look, what is your Q2? From this side, from this equation, you can find Q2. So, what is your Q2? Q2 is
minus 12 whole divided by 2.
এখানে হচ্ছে 12 তাই না? হ্যাঁ, yes, 12 minus
minus 12
minus 12 কেন হবে?
Oh, you
আর
are right.
minus 12 কেন হবে?
Yes, yes,
12 ই হবে। তুমি 2Q2 টাকে এদিকে নিয়ে যাও না, তাহলে 20 minus 8 12। ভালো করে অঙ্ক করো, ভুল হচ্ছে। minus Q1 কোথায় গেল? Q1 divided by 2. দেখো এই অবধি ঠিক আছে? From this equation, what you have to do, you have to take 2Q2 to the right hand side. So what left in your left hand side? 20 minus 8, that is 12 minus Q1. So 12 minus Q1. And this side 2Q2. Then Q2 is what? 12 minus Q1 by 2. Now you have to find out the value of dQ2 dQ1. Okay. And what is the value? বলো তো dQ2 dQ1 কি হবে? Minus half না?
Yes, ma'am.
Minus minus half. Okay, so done. You find out the responsiveness of the second form with respect to the first form. So this is the conjectural variation. Minus half is the conjectural variation for the leader. So you have the leader's equation like this. It is already written here. From here again you have to find out the first order condition. And when you are going to differentiate this equation with respect to Q1, one term will come here, dQ to dQ1. And don't make it 0. That you have done in case of the follower, because for the follower conjectural variation is 0, but for the leader it is not. So dQ to dQ1 is replaced by minus half, and then solves the equation of first order condition of the leader. Now get it?
Yes, ma'am.
I think now it will be very much clear. So this is the Stekelberg. So this is how you can find out the Stekelberg equilibrium. And somehow you have to find out Q1 star and Q2 star. Once you have this, so it is easy for you to give the rest of the answer. Acha, ki korte bolle, if it is clear, I cannot hear from anyone else. Are all the classes listening or not? I cannot understand. Only one sound is coming. Is it the situation that Ishan is doing the class only? My bakul portion may be boring, but here I'm giving you some mathematical problems, so that may be interesting for you, no? Where is Nikita? Nikita, are you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why you are not giving answer? I'm asking, is it okay?
I understood, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, in exam we'll get a balance of practical and theoretical questions, ma'am.
In exam what?
We will get a balance of practical and theoretical questions, or will we get?
Yes. The practical means this application oriented, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Obviously. But The total marks is 6, but it is so much disaggregated, 2 plus 2 plus 2. So it's actually a short question.
Majorly,
But
we will get majorly practical questions or theoretical questions.
yes. Most of the questions will be application oriented. Huh? It's an honors paper. So we expect most of the questions like this.
Then it is okay, ma'am.
But theory, definitely theory. Maybe one mark question is there in within this. That what do you mean by um, just explain the concept of cartel? 2 marks question. So
And we
this is
will
the
get case
theory.
studies too.
Huh. And then after you will get this mathematical. Most of the questions should be application oriented. I don't know which question you will get, but it should be application oriented as it is honors level question paper. Because otherwise you cannot judge whether the student can understand the subject or not. If it is only definition type of question, now anyone can write. And now the system of giving the exam is so different that you just open the net, you can chat with your friends, you can open your class note, whatever you can do, and the answer will be very much right. But if these type of questions will be there, then you can judge how much knowledge the student has. What is the depth of knowledge of the students? Huh? There are so many if, but I'm not going to those criticism areas. But anyway, maybe like this. Now look now, the monopoly question is also application oriented. Then this is university question paper. The oligopoly is absolutely application. There is no theory part here at least. So section B, that is a long question section. Look, again, the first part is the monopoly. The monopolistic competition. Okay, the G. Look at the G. The greater the degree of competition in a monopolistically competitive market, the flatter demand tends to be. Yes. As competition increases, what will be the effect of the degree of excess capacity of firms in the long run equilibrium? Definitely, if the demand curve is becoming flattered and flattered, then the equilibrium is very close to the minimum of the LSE curve now in the long run. So that means IRS is exhausted. Now the firm is going to have the constant returns to scale so that excess capacity is done, is over. So when the elasticity is increasing, the monopolistic competitive firm is reducing its excess capacity. Okay? And that you have to explain with the diagram. That is why the marks is 6. Yes, now let me try. What you have said, Ishan, how to erase all those? Control,
Ma'am, you control Z, and you can
control.
hold that so that it can go all at once.
Nothing is happened. Control Z, nothing is happened. কিছু হচ্ছে না।
So you can use the eraser.
ইরেজ,
Yes, ma'am.
কি বিচ্ছিরি ব্যাপার, সেটাও আবার কিরম খাবলা খাবলা মুছছে বাবা। এটা আবার মুছছেও না। দাঁড়াও একটু পরিষ্কার করে নি। হ্যাঁ, Okay, बापरे. Okay, now the next one. The demand function of the duopoly market. Look, the same thing. Look, demand curve is there. Marginal cost is assumed as zero. So that harassment is not here. Marginal cost is zero. Very good. Now, if the firms collude to act as a monopoly, what will be the industry output and profit? If they are working as a Kuno, the same thing. Look, initially the mark division was 2 plus 2 plus 2. Now it is 3 plus 3. That much. Similar type of questions are coming. That is what I am telling. This is a very common question at the university level. Oh, the same thing is there. Maybe I am wrong. The same year question I have taken twice. Yes. Demand function is there. Marginal cost is given as 10. Firm A behave that B is going to produce Q naught, derive A's reaction function. Okay, reaction function is very easy to find out. Find out the output Cournot case. Okay, that much. You can understand now which type of questions are coming, and I think some of you have the model question paper with you, model question paper, which is published by the university. You have this?
Ma'am, if you have it, then please post it.
Yes,
Post
I'm
it.
I'm trying to get it. Just a minute. I don't know where it is. Okay. Just a minute. Yes, it is here. Look, this is the model. Only one page. Answer whether the following statements. Okay, and it's better. I will share it in the LMS. Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
The questions are from monopoly, monopolistic, so many things. The market as a whole. Look, there are some perfectly competitive as well. Huh? So if it is, so just ignore those portions. Look, this is the theory question. Define reaction function. What is the difference between Cournot and Stekelbaum? Show the Cournot solution is a Nash equilibrium. So these things are there. Prisoner's dilemma. Because initially, this is not the semester thing, na? Initially, it is a part 1, part 2 question. So at that time, game theory was a part of the micro. That is why the prisoner's dilemma is here. Anyway, I am going to share this page. There are 2 pages. Okay, fine. There are 2 pages. I will share this.
Ma'am, there are 3 pages.
3. Then again. Oh, as I do. Anyway, I will share them. Huh? I will share them. Just check. I think you can solve most of the questions. If you have any problem, we will discuss in the next class. Huh? I think enough. 1.5 hours is done.
Ma'am, my attendance. Actually, I joined late.
Okay, so right now, write in the chat box.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Written.